783,000 Americans are killed every year by medicine. Why? Because medicine has inherent risk. So no matter what you're talking about in medicine, you have to talk about risk versus possible reward. And in these kinds of articles, like the LA Times is publishing, they only talk about the need for flu shots, but never the risk of flu shots. Never the risk. Well, let's talk about that risk. Oh, by the way, British Medical Journal right here admits antipsychotic drugs kill more people than terrorism. See, here's another piece of information that talks about how drugs are just killing at least 1,800 dementia patients a year in the United States. The LA Times isn't really talking about that, are they? So let's talk about what's really in vaccines. Here we go. Here's the article. This is on Natural News. And, I'm the author of this article as well. But this is based on information from the CDC. And it says the CDC webpage actually admits, and I'm going to show you that page here in a second, it actually admits that vaccines still contain aluminum, a metal linked to dementia and Alzheimer's, antibiotics that cause superbugs, formaldehyde, a very deadly neurotoxin, monosodium glutamate, thimerosal, which contains mercury, which is extremely toxic to the brain. Now, the CDC admits all of these are true.
Back. Joining us tonight is Glenn Trolls. He's a photojournalist, and he just recently joined us here at InfoWars, fellow InfoWarrior, and he was telling us about some of his health challenges that he'd been through. And when we heard the story, we said, you've got to go on the air and tell other people about this, because a lot of other people are facing similar things, and they need to know what's worked for you. So, Glenn, tell us a little bit about what happened with you. What was your condition? And you went to regular doctors for a while, and tell us what happened.
Yes, David, I was diagnosed at the University of Michigan with ankylosing spondylitis, which is a pretty severe condition. I mean, my prognosis was quite bleak, as the doctor said. He told me that I could expect that, at best, I would have at least several of my vertebrae fused permanently in my back. And I remember when he did give me that diagnosis, I wasn't at all surprised, because I can remember quite clearly it felt like someone had been injecting acid right into my spinal column. It was very, very tough.
So what did he do for you? What did he prescribe?
Well, I mean, he had told me that, the only way I could go over these medications, which were like Indocin, and I think some of the side effects of Indocin immediately were stomach upset, ulcers. I got these right away. It didn't take long. And I had him switch me to methotrexate, which is a cancer drug. And that drug was so strong that they had to reduce the dose and raise the dose. I was on all kinds of kidney and liver function tests. But I know some of these were really harsh drugs, and I was getting a lot of problems from them.
And they weren't really helping you with the underlying causes, right? It's just essentially masking the...
No, they were masking. They were definitely masking the symptoms, but in the meantime, they were causing other things to occur.
Exactly. And that's what we see happen all the time. Well, what happened to get you off of that, and what did you do to get off of that?
Well, after taking those things, injections, for about 10 years, I decided that I was going to fire my MD, because I have to credit that phrase and that movement towards the show, because I learned from the guests on the show that that's what you need to do, is you get rid of the allopathic doctors and replace them with naturopathic doctors and whole foods and different things like that. So I really wanted to credit the show for that awakening in me.
Because they're trying to get to the root cause. They're not just trying to mask the symptoms again, as we're
absolutely, because the masking of the symptoms, all the while, you're getting sicker and sicker. Your liver is getting more damaged. These are cytotoxic chemicals going into your body constantly. And I did that, and I was getting sicker and sicker, heavier and heavier. And it was just, when I did quit, I went cold turkey off all drugs, all docs, all MDs, and my family thought I was crazy. They're like, well, what are you doing? You're getting sicker. They saw my decline, and I was declining at first.
So you've been under standard medical care. They've given you some meds that are going to mask the symptoms, but then they create all these other new health problems. Weight gain being just one of many more serious health problems. What did you do to change this and turn it around? What was it?
Well, I replaced my allopathic physician with a naturopath. I asked them what these medicines are going to do. What are the side effects they're not telling me? They said the side effects of these medicines are death, and I took that pretty much to heart right away. And I got on a modified Max Gerson diet plan, which is elimination of meats and carbs and sugars and all pretty much all manner of things that are unhealthy and unnatural and processed. And spent a lot of time at the farmers markets getting organic vegetables and juicing and making soups. And as I told you, that's where I had my big weight loss. But after that, I was still sick and still tired in a way that I wasn't prepared to feel, and I wasn't happy with that.
So then what did you do after that? You're still feeling tired?
Well, after that, I did some more blood work, and it told me that I was B12 deficient. I was anemic from trying to be a vegetarian, which I knew wasn't going to work with my body. So I went back to meats and some carbs like sweet potatoes, and I found that that gave me some energy, but I still didn't have the energy I needed to work in production the way I wanted to. I'd have to take longer naps and breaks and between projects, and it wasn't the life I wanted. I was still living on Red Bull and Monster and all that until I started really addressing the thyroid. And the thyroid, I started taking porcine thyroid pills, liver pills, and I started realizing that that was helping a lot. And fast forward to today, or to December of last year, and I got this this test that Alex had talked about on air, and because my new naturopath told me that it looks like your symptoms are more related to heavy metal toxicity than anything else at this point. You've been down that road. You've done the footwork. You've taken care of all you can. And, I found these folks, and they're Christian folks, and I really believed what they said. So I went and did this quite costly lab test, which, it was kind of a burden at the time, but I'm glad I did it because I was high in the big six toxic metals.
And what were they?
Well, aluminum, antimony, cadmium, and cesium, amazingly enough, and lead was very extremely high.
And your cesium, you lived for the last couple of years in California, right? So
yeah, that's true.
That's another connection there.
Yeah, I lived on the coast of California, and since the Fukushima explosion out there, I've been exposed to whatever's coming through there. In the second page of the report, it says environmental contamination by CS-137 as a result of radioactive fallout could be a concern. So I talked to my doctor, and he did tell me that you might have this from Fukushima, or you might have this from anything. But I wanted to caution anybody that thinks that if they don't live in California, they don't have cesium. Because there's radon and there's other things in the earth.
That's right. There's a lot, even if it's natural radiation. Ionizing radiation is still radiation. I mean, it's very different from what you're going to get with electromagnetic radiation, but people are still concerned, like you said, about radon. We saw the beach there in California where it was up away from the water. It was very, very high, and then it dropped as they went down the water, so it wasn't necessarily from Fukushima in that particular spot, but it was still elevated levels, and people don't walk around with a Geiger counter knowing what they're being exposed to, so most people don't know what level of radiation they're being exposed to unless they do some kind of a test like this.
Yeah, maybe they should. The doctor explained it to me like this. He said, imagine you're always going out the credit card to the store. You're buying and buying and buying. It's like you're putting these toxins in your body, and eventually your body can't take it anymore. You run out of your credit. Your credit limit's up. But now imagine you're starting to get these things out, like using Fluoride Shield or any of the products at InfoWarsLife.com. I mean, it's like you're now paying with cash, and your body's not going to work on credit. You really have to get the toxins out for the vitamins to work, because your body runs on enzymes, and if there's toxins there, the vitamins can't get to function properly and make the enzymatic reactions. So you need to have a compound approach to this. It needs to be the Fluoride Shield, the Survival Shield, and also the vitamins. And
it's kind of just the opposite of what we're usually talking about with iodine, where you want to try to fill your thyroid up with healthy iodine to prevent the radioactive cesium or strontium-90 or whatever to be absorbed by the thyroid. But the opposite is true as well. If you've got a lot of harmful chemicals that have filled up your organs, then you're not going to be able to get the good nutrition in. So that's why you need to find some way to purge it out.
A multi-pronged approach, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. Hopefully that'll be some help to people out there.
This is a freaking video, so I'm going to play it. I just want you to see there was 144 views. The channel was Juke. It's a glass cloud approaching a black hole at the center of the Milky Way. And what's happening here is I told Cameron about it. What I saw was a dragon, a red dragon. And it was going this way like maybe a year or so ago. And it looked exactly like this, only the face was a dragon. And that was 3 years ago, I think. And this is important. So, this is the, exactly, it looked just like this. But I called it a dragon when I was describing it to Karen. I hope she remembers that. I told a few people. But this is what I saw. Happy New Year, China. AGF. Like
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And launch of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket as NASA turns to the private sector to resupply the International Space Station.
Starting gravity turn. First stage into the full power, looking good.
Now this is the SpaceX Falcon 9.
With solid telemetry link and power systems are normal.
What does that look like to you?
First stage propellant utilization is active. Vehicle's on a nominal trajectory. Altitude 5.3 kilometers, velocity 225 meters per second, a downrange distance of 0.6 of a kilometer. Vehicle is supersonic. Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure. Propulsion's forming nominally, starting stage 2 engine chill.